Hamjamboni wa Kenya. My name is Peter Miai Oduge. I'm an Assistant Director of Immigration Services in Welfare and Rights Division. The purpose of this forum is to take you through the requirements for application for passports. The Diaspora is committed to bringing services close to Kenyans, and for this purpose, we are going to conduct MCSs in various countries all over the world. So there are some requirements which are very necessary when you come for this exercise, which you must bring with you. Passports are issued under the Immigration and Citizenship Act 2011 and the Citizenship and Immigration Regulations of 2012. I want to apply for a passport, you need to be a citizen of Kenya, and you have to prove beyond doubt that you are a citizen of Kenya. For those who apply for passports, we normally come across people who apply for the first time. We refer to them as new applicants. We also come across those who come to replace their passports. There's a category of lost passports. There are others who come with mutilated passports. A passport might be valid, but accidentally you can mutilate it. There's also application for minors. So those are the categories of passports. Now, before one applies for a passport, especially new applicants, you have to go to a government forum. There's a government platform called e-Citizen. So in this case, you will go to immigration. You log into immigration department and start filling the prescribed form. It's called Form 19. It is the legally prescribed form for application of the passport. For the new users who have never registered in the e-Citizen platform, you need to register first. You need your Kenyan ID. You have to create an account. You will need a Kenyan ID, you will need a photograph, and you need a contact to log in so that you can create an account in e-Citizen. The process is very, very easy. Once you fill and complete the form, you pay. On payment, you print that form together with 2 payment pro formas. Once you have those documents, there are attachments which are required for you to go with for biometrics. As in the diaspora, you go to the nearest mission abroad, the nearest embassy, where there's an immigration attaché. You go for biometrics, where your fingerprints are taken and photos are taken. Now, there are various categories of passports with different requirements. As I mentioned before, we have new passport applications whose requirements as follows. Maybe before I mention that, I would like to mention that we have series. We have A series, we have B series. A series, the cost is 7,550. That is 34 pages. Then we have a 50-page series, which is 9,550. For a lost passport of either series, you pay 20,000 Kenya shillings, or a mutilated passport, you pay 20,000 Kenya shillings. Requirements for new passport, for new applicants. Those new applicants are those people who have never applied for a passport before. So you appear in person for biometric enrollment. One of the requirements is the prescribed form, the application form, which you filled online. You present it together with the 2 payment pro formas to the nearest immigration officer. As I said, a passport can only be issued to a Kenyan citizen, so you must show your ID and original ID and copy, original birth certificate and copy of one of your parents' ID. If your parent is not alive, you show copy of death certificate of one of the parents who is a Kenyan. So the Kenyan citizenship 2010 confers citizenship by birth to Kenyans. At least one of your parents must be a Kenyan for you to qualify for Kenyan citizenship by birth. Those are new applicants. There might be other requirements apart from the ones I've mentioned, depending on how you present yourself and the documents you present. So, for example, one might have a spelling problem, names appearing in the birth certificate might be different from the ones appearing in the ID. In this case, we may ask for the copies of your school certificates, maybe to just confirm the names, to authenticate. The second category is replacements of Kenyan passports. So for those ones whose passports have expired, when you come to replace your passport, you must carry the original passport with you. The passports you are coming to replace, which will be cancelled later. You also have to give photocopies of the biodata page of that passport you attach to Form 19 and to the two payment pro formas. Then you present yourself to an immigration officer. You also attach copy of your ID and copy of your birth certificate. Now for lost passports, for all categories A and B, it's a bit different. Apart from the regularly required documents like the prescribed form and the two payment pro formas, copy of ID and birth certificate, you additionally bring an affidavit from the lawyer. You swear an affidavit to accompany the application. You also attach a police abstract. You must report to the police whenever you lose your passport. It's very important because somebody can use it somewhere and you can be criminalized for nothing. You can be blamed, take blame for something you don't have. Somebody can use it to impersonate you and it has got a lot of implications. You also have to write a letter. There's a letter you write, an explanation letter to the immigration officer, explaining circumstances, so yeah, the passport got lost. If it was lost in a matter, you will indicate plus the passport number and the date of loss in the explanation letter. Mutilated passports are treated almost the same way as lost passports. You have to produce the mutilated passport to an immigration officer and biodata page of the copies if you have them with you, plus a letter explaining the mutilation and affidavit from the lawyer swearing how it got mutilated passport. Then the final application is for minors. Apart from those other documents like the prescribed form, the payment, voucher, pro formas, downloaded and printed form, you have to bring a signed consent form by one of the parents and two photographs for the children, the minor, and the two photographs for the parents. And the minor must be accompanied. If the minor is not accompanied, you will be returned by the immigration officer. You won't be allowed to take biometrics. And that is very, very important. So, as usual, to prove that the minor is a Kenyan, we need the original ID of the parent and the copy, plus copy of the birth certificate and original for the parents. I think those are the categories of passport application. Adoption cases are treated a bit differently. Apart from the other attachments I mentioned, for example, in the A series, you have to put the certificate of adoption, original adoption order and copy, court order, letter from the Children's Department, court proceedings, letter from the Children's Home declaring the child eligibility for adoption, parents' documents, birth certificate bearing the adoption of parents. I think those are the requirements we need to apply for passport and the other attachments we need to put. As I mentioned before, other requirements may be required to be produced after interviews depending on how you respond to the interviews. I will want to point out that it is your entitlement to have a passport under the Constitution of Kenya. It is your right. So you apply for a passport it's your right. But if you misuse a passport, I want to point out that it can be confiscated by the government of Kenya if it is misused. For example, if you give the passport to somebody else to use, to impersonate you, or you are involved in transnational criminal activities like drug trafficking, fraudulent activities with the passport, human trafficking, and so on, money laundering. If you are caught, your passport can be confiscated by the government. Thank you.